There's a problem that every musician across every genre, across every instrument has faced in the past. And that problem is missing out on gold in the moment because you weren't recording. Then you go back, you can't remember what you sang, you can't remember what you said, you can't remember what you played. Wish I could go back in time and rewind. Well, guess what? Now there's actually a program called Rewind that prevents this from ever happening again. And it's pretty brilliant because I didn't realize how much I needed something like this until I started using it. Full disclosure, I saw an ad for this on Instagram. I reached out to the company that makes this and I asked for a preview code so that I could check this out. So I didn't pay for this, but I will review this honestly. They didn't ask me to say anything. They just were super kind and they said, yeah, here you go, try it out. And so I wanted to review it and explain how it works, how to use it, and whether or not it's worth the asking price of $50. So what does Rewind actually do? It's pretty self-explanatory. It lets you rewind back in time. It's the closest you're gonna get to an audio time machine. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, that just sounds like a recorder. Like, why can't I just press record on my phone and just leave it running? You could do that, but that's also clunky. You're gonna get a text, you're gonna get a phone call, you're gonna not have enough space. Let's be real. You're probably saving a lot of memes on your phone these days. You don't have space. So while, yes, that is a very valid solution, and you could even buy yourself an actual recorder, a digital recorder, and just have it running all the time. I think this is awesome because it's like kind of a step forward, an evolution of that concept. So there's a couple things that Rewind does that a regular recorder doesn't do. The first one that caught my attention is that it'll automatically start recording. So let's just say I'm jamming out, but as soon as I start playing guitar, started recording. Now, if I stop, the recording itself stops, which is pretty cool because you can control it with this little gate here. So you can say that until the audio passes this little threshold, don't record anything. That's also what's great about this compared to just recording with your phone. You're not just wasting a bunch of space on your phone or your recorder or whatever. It's pretty smart. You can just decide like, okay, well, I want it to record only when I actually play. So right now I'm talking, it's not recording. This is the mic that I'm using. I'm just using it as a room mic. I could just, as soon as I play, it goes in. And if it doesn't hear any sound past that threshold I have it set to 3 seconds, it stops. So not recording anymore. And I can keep talking and it's fine. And you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. But is it worth $50? Yeah, it does more. Because let's just say that I liked that little moment. I can grab that whole piece of guitar. I can click and hold. And now check this out. You can drag it straight into your DAW. In this case, I'm using Ableton. That alone is already helpful because previously, if I had an idea that I wanted to use as a demo and as a reference track, I would have to export it from my phone and then I'd have to put it in. And that would already just kill the flow a little bit. Not to mention that when you hit record, you're already a little bit more in your head about like, oh, okay, I'm recording now. I got to make this perfect. With this thing running in the background, you could just be jamming out and the moment an idea strikes, you know you have it. Yeah, but if I just have this running on all the time, isn't it just going to like eventually make my computer explode because it'll run out of space? I mean, I can't be recording, 12 hours out of the day. And that's where it's also really clever because you can actually set how long you want it to record for, recording length. I think by default it was 2 minutes, but I can go up to an hour. So if you wanted to have the full hour of what you recorded, like if you're having like a big jam session with a full band, cool, you could do that. I have mine set to 5 minutes. And so what ends up happening is that once I cross that threshold of 5 minutes, it starts erasing over what was initially recorded, with the assumption that if you find a little like nugget of gold, you're gonna stop and go back. And again, you can set it for as long as you want. And I thought that was super cool. This is what we have so far. We have a program that runs in the background. You can forget about, you can set a threshold when you want it to record. It starts recording, you get some ideas. The moment you get something interesting, you might be like, oh crap, I wish I had that recorded. And now you do. You can go back and listen to it, reference it. Or, if you were playing along with a click, you'll have that there and you'll be able to just drag that in. So that's super cool. So there are some slight limitations. This is one of the caveats that I found is that your input can only be a stereo or mono input. So in this case, I have a stereo, which is my channels 3 and 4. I have my microphone here on 4, which I'm using kind of as a general room mic. And then if I wanted to on 3, I could put in a guitar or maybe just like a vocal mic here. So It's a little limited, but I still think that's enough for what you need to do because there's other features that make this even cooler. You'll see here we have a button that just says external, and now I can go into my system sounds. And if I click here, I have every program that I have open. And so what I could do now, I could also use this as a recorder for anything that I might hear. So just so that we don't get any copyright strikes, I'm gonna show you what it would be like to sample one of my own songs. We'll come over here to Spotify. Oh, look, it's me. Check out my band if you want to. You don't have to, it's fine. So if I start playing this song, it automatically starts recording it. And again, because it has that silence timer, you can just set it to just stop recording after 5 seconds if it gets no signal. Super cool because you could just go and hyper zoom in and grab exactly what you need. And that alone is like, no need to export into a folder, nothing. Just click, highlight, hold, drag it, you got it. And you can do it into anything, Spotify or whatever, Chrome if you're on YouTube, whatever. So that's super sick. I think that is also a feature in itself that is super useful. Now, let's switch back to external. And to me, this is probably the coolest part, is that not only can you be recording audio, you'll notice here, it's also capturing my MIDI. So now I can go in there and I can grab this MIDI. Check this out. Click, hold, drag, boom, we got MIDI. I don't know how many times I've just been messing around on MIDI before starting any sort of song, and I've just been playing and playing and playing, not recording, and then I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have recorded that one little section. And now you can. And I know Ableton has a similar feature called Capture MIDI. It's also doing something similar where it's in the background secretly sort of recording all your MIDI input. But this is really nice because it works with any DAW. And you could be using a standalone VST and like playing around, and it'll still capture it. If you're on Windows, it requires a little bit of setup. There's like an extra little plugin that you need to install, but that's super easy. You literally click that install button, restart your computer, and it's ready to go. On Mac, it's just plug and play. Anything you play on your keyboard, it'll just record it whenever you do play something. So we talked a lot about the pros. Let's talk about the cons, because otherwise this wouldn't be a very honest review. Now, would it? It bums me out a little bit that you can't do this, MIDI, and Spotify at the same time. It's kind of a bummer that if I was practicing to one of my favorite songs and I was trying to learn a song and I'm here just like playing along and I just wanted to hear back what I sound like with the song, that's not really possible. You either have to do the live capture between MIDI and audio. It can do both of those together, but you can't have Spotify running and get that recorded as well. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but I assume it's something a little bit more technical, the reasoning as to why you can't do that. Maybe they'll include it in a future update. I don't know. Another slight issue that I took with the program is that when I first opened it up, it wasn't super intuitive. It wasn't super user-friendly. I figured it out within like 10, 15 minutes. It's not a big deal, but it could be easier. Maybe like a built-in tutorial that just, as soon as you launch, tells you how to use it. I don't know, it's just me, not a big deal. Aside from that, I mean, there's not really a lot of cons. There is one kind of big con that has nothing to do with the program, more just of the licensing. And that is that you have to use the iLok cloud system to kind of register it and license it and be able to use it. You can use it offline from what they claim. I haven't tried, but it's still, you know, iLok, it's a little bit dated. I get it, it's secure. You don't want people cracking your software, but I don't know. It's a little annoying to have to install another thing to then run the thing. So not a big deal, but I kind of wish it was just a standalone thing that you could just get a key, register, and you're good. I will say a slight plus regarding to this is that they give you 2 seats available for your license. So you can have this installed on 2 separate computers at the same time. I have a Windows PC and a Mac laptop, so it's super cool that I could just use those together. So is Rewind by MonkeyC worth $50? Yes, 100%. I would 100% pay $50 for this. They were kind enough to give me a free license to this to review it, but I would still spend $50 on this. I highly recommend it. These are the kinds of tools that I find super invaluable because anything that makes my creative process easier and the less I have to think about technical stuff like, oh, did I hit record? Or what did I play there on the MIDI keyboard? You can literally now go back and they can save you a ton of time. And it's less thought, there's no exporting, no files. It's just click, drag, it's in the DAW, let's go. Let's keep making music. So I highly recommend this program. And if there's anything else you want reviewed, on this channel, please let me know. I'm happy to just check out stuff for you before you buy it and let you know if it's worth it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and swing back on by one of these days. Check out some of the other videos that I've got. You might learn something. All right, see ya.